item 4. Thank you, Chloe, and you take us through this report.
Good afternoon, Councillors, and Mayor Hickling. This report is basically, we spoke about the statement of intent, receipt of those in the last council meeting. This report is an opportunity for feedback to be given to the council-controlled organisations on those statements of intent. Council officers have reviewed them. As you'll see in the appendixes, there are some feedback that has come on a couple of those CCOs. There was also a workshop held with Destination Great Lake Taupo that councillors were invited to for that feedback to be given directly to the CCO. And really today is an opportunity for us to discuss those statements of intent after receiving them and to either basically look at the feedback that's been given by officers, add to those or change those as elected members desire.
Okay, thank you, Chloe. So I think the first one is on page 4x4, where there's probably some suggestion of inclusion. So it's whether councillors agree to that suggestion of the officers.
Yep, so that's just basically a mechanical thing in order to be compliant with the Local Government Act. Just a suggestion that they would like to include that.
You just on the first one, or are you taking them in bulk?
Well, I was just going to give councillors the opportunity to comment on the officer's recommendations, and then we'll go to the resolution and do them as a bulk, councillor body. So, as you can see on some of them, there's the councillor is satisfied with the feedback. Page 4x8, there's further suggestions to amend.
So just further to that, as you mentioned, the LAS, we have some commentary. Yep. We're satisfied with the BOPLAS statement of intent, and perhaps if we work through them individually, if you've got any feedback, we can look at that. Okay. So BOPLAS we're satisfied with from an officer's perspective. Is there any other additional comment? The Airport Authority we're also satisfied with from an officer's perspective. Destination Great Lake Taupo, so we're looking at 4x7 now. So there has been some feedback given, which was given in that workshop and also from officers. So the first bit is around a couple of changes in terms of the nature and scope has been recommended. Some tightening up around the performance measurement. There's also some commentary that's come through from Audit New Zealand, as you can see there, that we've suggested that they apply, that they hadn't applied. Also some minor things around the compliance and disclosures section. So is there any additional feedback that elected members would like to provide?
Okay. If not, we'll go back to the item 4, the first page.
Sorry, and just on the last one, sorry. Just to also with the local government funding, as the final statement of intent. Sorry, and there's no feedback from.
There's no feedback.
Chairman, just on that one, for my education, is someone able to explain how it actually works?
The local government funding agency. Is that Councillor Buddy?
You're correct.
Yeah. Neil can do that.
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor, I wasn't actually listening. LGFA is it operates effectively like an entity that's a collective, if you like, of all New Zealand councils that are shareholders, and so it's through the power of that collective and the ability to borrow in larger sums, both onshore and offshore. It can drive, or does in fact drive, the cost of interest down for councils in New Zealand. Currently there's 30% of the investors from offshore, and that's been growing. steadily, and with the interest rates that you're seeing overseas, your big hedge funds and that are chasing obviously any yield they can get globally, and that's a very good investment for them. So mechanically how it works is, instead of going to a bank or going to the market, we go to LGFA and say we have a funding requirement of X. They source the funds for us and pass it through to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In that regards, I think the financial show we have 2.1 million invested at the moment. Would that be correct?
Sorry,
in the local government.
Oh, okay, so yeah, there's a couple of things here that because of the structure of the entity, every time that we borrow, we have to invest in what are called borrower notes, and that's just it's tied up with the structure of the entity, and also to ensure that they pay no tax. So we invest in these things called borrower notes. So I can't remember the exact ratio, but I think it's for $25 million. We have to invest 400,000 of what's called borrower notes. So you end up having your debt on this side and a little bit of investment on the other leg.
So the 2 million would mean quite a bit of borrowing?
No, it's just netted off what you borrow. So if you're borrowing 25 million, basically you'll receive back 24,600,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to grips to, that if I put $1 into a bank and I earn interest, it's going to be less than what you would pay to come into the bank to borrow my $1. I just can't work out how that works to our advantage, even though we're able to borrow cheaper than the market.
The borrower notes earn interest.
I'm still confused, but...
Okay. But I mean, it's a relatively complex subject. Maybe it's better if we have a one-on-one on it, Councillor, and any other councillor that's interested, happy to do that.
Thank you, we'll do that.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Through the Chair, a question for Chloe. So in terms of next steps, these CCOs will finalise their documents.
Yes.
In regard to requests we've made as shareholders, particularly in regard to DGLT, if they don't take on board our suggestions, what happens from there? Because I note there are some reasonably significant ones in DGLT, and their report was late.
Their report was late. It was received on the 10th of March. They actually sent an original draft on the 3rd of March, but decided to put another one in to lead into that meeting on the 18th. So it is out of the legislative timeframes. The feedback that we give them, my understanding is that they can choose whether they take that feedback on board or not. If you are then unhappy with the resultant statement of intent, you can actually then go back to them and request again for changes to be further made to that, and that's an amendment to the statement of intent for that year. Then as the shareholder of that council-controlled organisation, you can start going down those lines of actually being the shareholder and given that you appoint the board.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Okay. So there's a suggested resolution. There's 5 CCOs there, all listed down, 1 to 5. We'll take it as a bulk recommendation. Councillor Jones.
Just a point of clarity, a couple of the resolutions, such as the one for the Taupo Airport Authority, Council satisfied with the bulk of the draft SOI, some feedback to be sent. We don't actually send any feedback to them apart from the fact we're satisfied, so just to be technically correct, we should have...
I think that's a fair observation, and you could rework that. Absolutely. We will still be sending a letter of receipt from the council acknowledging it.
Yeah, but I guess the implication is that
absolutely.
There's some amends we require, and in particular with such as Taupo Airport Authority, we're not requesting anything as opposed to something like DGLT where we are making some specific requests.
So perhaps if we change it to the council is satisfied with the draft statement of intent, a letter of...
I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah.
There's different degrees of feedback across these.
Yeah, letter of confirmation perhaps.
Okay, letter of confirmation.
So council is satisfied with the statement of intent with a letter of confirmation to be sent to LAS.
I'd be happy with that.
And so if we apply that to
the others as well.
So that would go through to TAA, to...
Plenty.
Yep, not to LAS, to Bay of Plenty, TAA, and then also through to LGFA. So those 3 would be amended in that effect.
So with that amendment, looking for a mover and a seconder for this resolution, please. Thank you. Councillor Stewart, Councillor Pollock, all in favour? Aye. Carried. Right. Item 5. Chloe again.
This item is basically sought around endorsement for a submission that we made to the Bay of Plenty long-term plan. Now, obviously, we are not a district that sits within the Bay of Plenty region, but it was officers deemed it appropriate to provide some commentary, particularly around the economic development aspect in their consultation document. As you can see there, the consultation point was proposing to decrease funding and not add any more funding into economic development, which has direct impact on the Bay of Connections, which the Taupo District Council and Enterprise Great Lake Taupo are voluntary members of. So we, I know that they spoke to council as part of the hearings last week, and we very much see the value of the Bay of Connections in terms of what it's able to do for our region. So wrote a submission to this effect. So I'll take the rest of the item as read, and if there's any questions.
Councillor Jones.
Through the Chair, Chloe, have the Bay of Plenty heard their submissions yet?
Yes, they have.
They have?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this was just a written submission?
Just a written. We didn't ask to be heard on it. I'd also note that Enterprise Great Lake Taupo also put a submission in to the same effect.
Did they speak to their submission?
No, they did not.
Chair, just a question. Chloe, thank you for that. I just would like to know on 5(1) why this assumption has been made, and you go down to the word officers on the side, and it's a different print, and it starts off, we ask that you do not limit new funding. Can you see that paragraph?
Yes.
You then go on approximately, we believe this cut will have proportionally far greater impact on economic development in our wider region. Why has that been said?
Because from an officer's perspective, we do see significant value that comes out of the Bay of Connections, and for a $1,000 investment for that region to invest in economic development, the quantum of opportunity that comes out of those groups is far greater than that. I can't give you exactly what the economic impact assessment of that particular group is, but from the activities that have been happening, it's a significant amount of benefit to that region.
To that region or this region?
Well, to that region, but also us, because we are a tag on at the bottom.
What then are those benefits?
So we could work through probably some of the big ones. Are the fact that we talk as a united voice. We, as a collective, Bay of Connections, has been invited to speak to the caucuses of both the National and the Labour parties. Also New Zealand First. So you have a stronger front when you're talking through to central government. And as a member of Bay of Connections, we are party to that. There are various industry groups that are involved, being created from the Bay of Connections, such as the Forestry Wood Action Group, the Aquaculture Group, and these groups are looking at pushing investment forward and having those groups look at regional economic development projects, including some that we have going on here, as significant benefit. We currently have an investor who's looking at an aquaculture project in Taupo, and that has come directly off our relationship with the Bay of Connections and the groups that have been formed.
So, Mr. Chairman, if that's been stated, then eventually we won't be voluntary any longer, we'll be members.
We'll always have to be a voluntary member because we are not part of the region. We are the Waikato, so we are technically also part of the Waikato Economic Development Strategy as well. The reason that we choose to do both is because out towards the Bay we have significant economic benefit, and that's a natural line for us to follow in terms of that area, especially around aquaculture, forestry, and the like, geothermal.
Sorry, through the Chair, one last question, Chloe, and I'm sort of picking your brains here, so you may not have the answer to that one. Just as a matter of interest, the Bay of Plenty District Council, how much do they spend on economic development? Do you know?
The Bay of Plenty Region Council?
I'd need to double check.
I understand it's over a six-figure sum that is put into the Bay of Connections
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
percentage-wise, $100,000 is...
Sorry, $1 million, sorry, seven figures
Yeah,
on
seven
here.
figures.
seven
It's over $1
figures.
million that gets put into
those
Economic
projects.
development.
into Bay of Connections and the economic development activity.
Um,
They also have their regional investment fund, which is, would you know the size of that fund off the top of your head? But it's a very sizable fund, of which 18 million was distributed or heralded for distribution last year.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen investment from that come into the Taupo District, so our voluntary involvement in that is you know,
So to support my understanding, though, their draft plan is looking at saving about $100,000 in that area over a 6-7 million cost. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? There's a suggested resolution there that council endorses a submission on the draft Bay of Plenty Regional Council's long-term plan. So could I have a mover and a seconder, please?
I'll move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Boddy. Councillor Cousins, thank you. All in favour? Aye. Carried.